It's November 2012, the week before Thanksgiving, and I'm in sunny Los Angeles. I'm on the verge of hyperventilating, sitting at the small desk in the kitchen of the restaurant where I'm working. A line cook has given me a small glass of plastic glass of water, and I'm fighting back big tears that I can't contain. People are running past me with plates of food as they go through the swinging kitchen doors. It almost hits me every time. And my boss is looking at me like, who's this fucking girl from Portland who's crying all the time? She better not be on the clock. The day before, I had been in Portland, surrounded by other people who were also crying, who were also mourning, who were grief-stricken and confused. Today, I'm back at work, where I have to smile at customers and pretend I care which pastry they order. Good choice, that's my favorite. Or explain why we don't yet have almond milk. Yeah, you know, I prefer it too, but we don't have it yet, so maybe just try black coffee and leave me alone. I'm an actor, but I'm giving a shitty performance, and frankly, I don't give a fuck. I grew up on 10th Street, the best street in the world. The street you see in the movies where kids run from house to house and the parents sit on the front porch drinking beers, and there are block parties in the summer and soup nights in the winter. The epicenter of this magical street is Anne Lebwall. She was technically a mother of 4, but for all intents and purposes, she was everyone's mother. She was the oldest of 5, raised Irish Catholic. She converted to Judaism when she and Steve got married, and they raised their 3 daughters and 1 son in their temple. She hosted Shabbat dinners every Friday. Passovers and Thanksgiving had at least 30 people, and she could always seem to fit another chair. Anne was everyone's mother. She had 2 fridges because you can't regularly feed 30-plus people from one. Her basement fridge was always stocked with ice cream, and when we were older, with beer. She loved Janis Joplin so much that her Verizon ringback tone was me and Bobby McGee. She loved the movie The Big Sleep, which she'd put on, and the neighbor kids would climb into her king-size bed and watch it on rainy afternoons. She loved sports. Super Bowl Sunday was a huge deal at the Lebwall house. Anne rooted for the Giants, and she would get into loving shouting matches with anyone who was rooting against her team. During the 2004 elections, my parents, half the block, and I watched with devastation as George Bush won another election from Anne's bed. Anne was present for a lot of my firsts. Her son is a few years older than me, and the first time I smoked pot was with him and our other neighbor. When we inevitably got caught, because Anne had a sixth sense about these things, I was forced to tell my mom just so she heard it from me first. Because even though I was the baby on the street, I was not above getting in trouble, and having Anne disappointed you was way worse than your own parent. She came to see my high school plays, and always made time to take me to breakfast so we could catch up on where I was applying to college or if I was dating anyone. After long trips, when I started coming home from college breaks, her house was always my first stop. So when my mom called me one November day and told me that Anne had a huge brain aneurysm and was on life support, it didn't make any sense. She was the most full-of-life person I had ever met. This was the woman who did more in a morning than most people do in a week. She babysat her granddaughters while running a small business, volunteering and attending services at her congregation. But this woman helped raise me. She was supposed to dance at my wedding. This didn't make sense. I couldn't piece it together. And the next thing I know, I'm back in Portland, and I haven't gone to her house yet because I don't know how to go back into that house and for her to not be there. And then we're at her funeral, and we take turns walking up to her grave where there are 2 shovels in a pile of dirt, and her simple pine coffin, which is really just a wooden box, is resting, and we all shovel some earth on her. And one evening, I'm driving north on the 5. I like driving north on the 5 because it's like I'm heading towards home. If I kept going, I'd eventually end back up in Portland, back on 10th Street. And I'm listening to the radio, and this program cuts off right in the middle of a song. And then Take Another Piece of My Heart by Anne's girl Janis starts playing. And before I can even process what's happening, tears are streaming down my face, and a car with Oregon plates merges in front of me. And I'm laughing and then crying, and then Me and Bobby McGee is playing, and these songs get me the rest of the way to Valencia, to Cal Arts, as if Anne was riding shotgun the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
More recently, I was leaving a friend's house to head to an audition, and he offered me a bowl of candy. And I took a sour apple caramel-covered lollipop because those were Anne's favorites. She always had a bag in the house and 2 around Halloween. I remember saying, wow, these were my neighbor's favorites, so nice to think of her before an audition. I get to the audition and sign in only to realize the character they have me reading for is named Anne. I wish I could say I got the part. I didn't. But I did carry myself with poise, just like Anne always modeled. Her body may be gone, and I don't know if I believe in ghosts, but I certainly believe in science. And physics proves that when you die, your energy remains. There's an amazing speech by this guy named Aaron Freeman. He sums it up by saying, when you die, according to the law of the conservation of energy, not a bit of you is gone. You're just less orderly.